Panther Nation podcast. Yeah. Let's go. Yeah. Oh, cut it. Cut right. And I would like to introduce one of the hottest podcasts in Carolina history. Let's go. Yeah. Talk, let's chat. We got time to chop it up. Talking analytics and fantasy draft. You know what's up. Panther Nation representing, cause this is where we talk that. Talk that's so incredible. Make them rewind that talk back. Pause. Talking Panthers football, we discussing it all. On and off the field, you know exactly who to call. You know we the #1 podcast. Competition is non-existent, you need to stop that. Pause. It's an honor to be a Panther fan, pause. At Bank of America, that is where we ball. Coming to the jungle, then you gonna feel the pause. Winning the trophy for the city, it is the cause. Black, white, and blue, we going Carolina strong. And this is the conversation where everyone belongs. Discussing all the numbers and topics, you know we got it. We the hottest podcast, and we poppin', let's go.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? As you can see, I can tell you how much sleep I've had over the past couple of days. This is Dave from PNP. We're here to go over the waiver wire options for this week. If you're new here, welcome. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. I'm just trying to retweet this live video here, so bear with me 1 second. But let's see here. It's been a long day, man. A very, very long day, to the point where I forgot to put myself in the stream. So let's do this. All right. So I see the questions are coming up. I'm gonna try to change it up a little bit this season. I'm gonna actually have some formats. Go over some things. Go over a couple of interesting things that I've noticed during week 1. And I'll probably sneak in a quick ad at some point during the show. But my focus today is to go over from a fantasy perspective some of the things that I noticed. I will always talk about the Panthers situation from a fantasy perspective, give you my opinion on it, and then we'll go from there. So the first step is we'll start with the Panthers fantasy status. So if you want to get going with regards to the quarterback position, I think we'll do that too. Because let me tell you something, that's the only one I lost this week. I went 6-1 in my fantasy leagues this week, so we absolutely can do that. So Panthers fantasy status. Baker Mayfield, he did okay. Kind of had streaming quarterback numbers. I believe he had like 18 points fantasy, if I remember correctly. 18 points fantasy. Yep, 18 even. He had 18 points fantasy. He went 16 for 27 for 235 yards with a touchdown on it, or a touchdown. So, yeah, he got 18 fantasy points. Teetering in starting territory for this week, believe it or not. And we'll go over that when we look at the quarterback position, because he was ranked 12th in quarterbacks for week 1. So in a 12-team league, that's starter status, right? But it's a matter of how consistent you expect him to be. But he had a good day. Other than the botched snaps, the bobbled snaps or whatever, he had a good day from a fantasy perspective. Actually, he was 13th, but 13 is still teetering. But either way, all right? So overall, that was fine. I think when you talk about Christian McCaffrey, 14 touches is not what you want, especially if you draft him the number 2 overall. And considering that we lost, maybe it might make sense to feed the rock to him. Or he ended up being 17th in fantasy. He still had RB2 status from a fantasy perspective. He got 15.7 fantasy points in PPR formats. So overall, for where he was drafted, he absolutely underperformed. But considering the circumstances, he did the best we could considering. But I said it on the show yesterday, and I'll say it again tonight. I need Christian McCaffrey to get 20 touches. All right. I need Christian McCaffrey to get 20 touches. All right, so let's focus on that from that standpoint. So I think he will get more work against the Giants. I'm not concerned about the touches of the other guys yet, but I think he's going to have to get at least 20 touches from that standpoint. Moving on to the wide receivers. I think the wide receivers for the Panthers it was interesting. Robbie Anderson was the leading receiver. He led the team in targets with 8. DJ Moore was second with 6. Robbie Anderson had 21.2 fantasy points. Really good day for him. He's had a habit of having these long touchdown plays every season in week 1. This is the 3rd year in a row when he had it. I said it last night as well. In 2020, he had a 75-yard touchdown. 2021, he had a 57-yard touchdown. And yesterday, on Sunday, he had a 75-yard touchdown. So he's been doing this every year in week 1. I think the target distribution is interesting. The fact that he led the team in targets. I don't know how long this will last. Not sure if we're going to get 2020 Robbie Anderson or 2021 Robbie Anderson for this season. But I am encouraged because this is probably arguably the best quarterback he's played with. So from that standpoint, I think I'm ready to trust him. Maybe no higher than a flex right now. It's something to monitor. So we'll probably talk about this again next week when we go over the target share. DJ Moore was second in targets with 6. So those are the top 2. Anybody else, I'm not ready to roll. When you talk about Shi Smith, he had 3 targets, only 1 catch. Ian Thomas, he had 3 targets, but he had 2 catches, including a pretty big play. So I don't think I want to be starting Ian Thomas at the tight end spot. I don't think we should be starting Tommy Trimble in the tight end spot. So I am not on board with playing Panthers tight ends. As for the defense, we don't know how to stop the run. We struggle with our pass rush. The key about defenses and special teams is to get sacks, turnovers, interceptions, right? Sacks, fumbles, interceptions. So we didn't do well with none of those against the Browns on Sunday. And I don't know how well we're going to do against the Giants on Monday. So from that standpoint, Giants this upcoming Sunday. So from that standpoint, I'm not interested in playing the Panthers defense right now until I actually see enough to me to warrant playing them. Because we lack a pass rush, and a lot of our fantasy points in the past have come from sacks. I would stay away from the Panthers defense and special teams. As for the kicker, your call, man. Kickers is the most random position in fantasy. I really ain't thinking about it too much. Most leagues, I would, unless you got Justin Tucker, I typically float kickers. I float kickers and defenses in most of the leagues that I'm in. So that's that with the Panthers. Monitor the Christian McCaffrey situation. I think he needs to get 20 touches. I don't think I'm ready to panic yet. I think Christian McCaffrey is going to be okay. So I'm not ready to panic yet, but it's just something that needs to be monitored. If he's out here getting just 10 carries again next week, that's going to be some concerns. If you have somebody in your league that's panicking about Christian McCaffrey this week, I would say take advantage of it and trade for him, because you might not have to give up as much. You're probably going to get the best value out of him right now, but but it's week 1. So take that with a grain of salt. The Cowboys. All right. So we know about Dak's injury. Initially, they were saying 6 to 8 weeks. Then it went down to 4 to 6 weeks. News got out today that Dallas is not going to put Dak Prescott on IR, but it's still going to impact the wide receivers and the run game for the Dallas Cowboys. I think CeeDee Lamb has gone from a wide receiver 1 to a low-end wide receiver 2/flex play, high-end flex. I don't think I can't trust CeeDee Lamb as a wide receiver 1 right now. Dalton Schultz is still interested as a tight end. Cooper Rush, being a younger quarterback, will probably lean towards throwing to his tight end. So I think the value of Dalton Schultz might get better, likely will stay the same. And Ezekiel Elliott, they're probably stuff the box. They're gonna probably force Cooper to beat him. So from that standpoint, Zeke's gonna be a tough one this year, and so is Tony Pollard. It's gonna be hard. I think Zeke's still gonna get the bulk of the work, but he's not the same guy. Offensive line isn't that good. Part of the reason why Dak got hurt is because their offensive line. Those guys got older, people retired, people got hurt. You know how that goes. So from Dallas's perspective, Ezekiel Elliott is probably in the flex range as well. Cannot trust him as an RB2 right now. And that's that. And the next segment, since we're talking about running backs. Let's talk about the Green Bay running backs. AJ Dillon got more work than Aaron Jones. It might be because the game potentially got out of hand against the Vikings, possibly. That's a possibility. But I think this is something that we need to monitor. I said that AJ Dillon is absolutely the better value because we knew it was going to be a split system, and I could have easily seen both running backs potentially falling within the top 15 in fantasy when by season's end. So if that's the case, then AJ Dillon was the better value because he went much later than Aaron Jones. For Aaron Jones, you probably had to take him in the second round. So AJ Dillon probably get him in the fourth, fifth round, something to that effect. So you got better value for AJ Dillon. So if you and I lean towards trying to go after Dillon over Aaron Jones because of this. So it's something to monitor. AJ Dillon might end up being the guy that you want because it looks like he is getting the opportunities when it comes to getting the passes from Aaron Rodgers. He was the leading receiver when it comes from a target perspective. Matter of fact, both running backs were the leading receivers from a target perspective. So that's going to be something interesting to watch. I have a feeling Aaron Rodgers is going to trust his running backs from that standpoint. So let's talk about the Rams. It doesn't seem like Cam Akers is going to get – Cam Akers right now might be doghouse status. All right? Might be doghouse status. All right? So Cam Akers, if he's doghouse status, that means Darrell Henderson is the guy you want. I can under no confidence start Cam Akers. I have 0 shares of Cam Akers, guys. So I don't have to worry about it. But I know a lot of you guys probably do have Cam Akers. So from that standpoint, I recommend if you have him, you need to try to find another option. I don't think you can start him until you can see that the coach trusts him. It doesn't sound like Sean McVay made it sound like that he's got to earn his way back on the field. He doesn't think he's playing hard enough, which tells me that this is going to be Darrell Henderson's job until further notice. So if Darrell Henderson's available in the leagues, I highly recommend you go get him if possible. All right, so I'm going to take some questions real quick. Then I'm going to do a commercial, and then we'll go over the positions and look at some of the data with some of the positions. So let's take some quick questions real quick. Aaron Rodgers is my QB. Should I be concerned? A little bit. You should be. When we go over quarterback, we'll talk about some options that you could potentially do. It's week 1. You shouldn't panic, but there should be some level of concern. When I pull up the data sheet for the quarterbacks, you will understand why. I'm doing great, man. I'm doing awesome. It's my wedding anniversary, so 11 years I've been married. So we'll see how this thing goes. But my wife's working late today, so that's why I'm here. So let me see here. Let's see. I'm going to start at the top. I'm trying to hit every question I can. Then I'm going to try to get the commercial. So I got a stopping point of where I'm going to stop. So don't bother with the questions right now for now, because I'm just going to hit the questions that everybody's asked. I'm not going to talk about what the Panthers should do. That'll be for the game preview on Wednesday with Diggy. So tomorrow night, 9 p.m., Diggy, me and Rashad will go live with Diggy, who's a Giants podcaster. Is really good guy. Shout out to Diggy. All right, so need to upgrade over and then go to Njoku. After Everett, would you go Hurst or Howard? I'm leaning towards Hurst here, but we'll go over some of the data after this. We'll go over the data after we do the underdog ad. Should we bring in Sue? I'm not going to answer that. We'll look at the PNP League at the end of the show. You showed up for those drafts, huh? Oh, yeah. Yo, real talk, man. I was in the middle of a show when our draft was happening. I lost track of time. Matter of fact, I did 6 out of my 7 drafts that I did was during a PNP show. No, 5 out of the 7 drafts I did was during a PNP show. Would I be able to send over some players? I'm thinking about keeping or trading on my fantasy, even though I won my first week in both leagues. If you won, why would you want to trade anybody? I mean, if your team was going to win, what would you want to? Why would you want to trade? Unless you're trying to leverage to get somebody that had an underwhelming week, like a Christian McCaffrey. I mean, you won. Like, I think when you win, when in weeks that you win, you shouldn't have to do much. Like this week, for a waiver wire perspective, there's a couple of tweaks that I'm going to make because I had some injuries. But other than that, I'm not really doing much. I went 6-1 this week. So I'm not gonna, the only league that I'm probably going to do some attacking is the PNP league, ironically enough. All the other leagues, I'm not really going to be on the attack. And even with the PNP league, I'm not going to attack that much. So from that standpoint, I wouldn't be in a panic. It's the first week, man. So, 0-1, starting 0-1 doesn't mean you can't win the chip. It just means you can't go undefeated for the season. Should I bench Burrow? Did he come up against a great Steelers defense? Nah, I don't think you should bench Burrow yet. I was looking through the quarterback data, and I'll tell you what, it is interesting from that standpoint. Yeah, let's see here. Always, but we already knew that. Let's see. Shout out to Trey. Shout out to the Saints. Look, man, I'll admit, I'm going to have to do some confessions, man. Like, there was a couple guys I recommended on Sunday that I missed on. I mean, Mooney was definitely one of them. But I played him. So Mooney was one of them. Godwin did better than Mooney. I was worried about that snap count with Godwin. But, yeah, there was some interesting things that happened in fantasy this week, I will say. This one sucked. I'm not a Miles Sanders fan. So I will take this hit 10 out of 10 times. I'm not a Miles Sanders fan, especially in Philadelphia. I've never been a Miles Sanders fan. I prefer Dylan right now. Nah, I mean, he had wide receiver 1 upside, in my opinion, for CD. The fact that you were able to pull this off is amazing. I would start all 3 every week. By the way, just FYI, we'll look at the data for everybody. Like I said earlier, Saquon Barkley was the top running back in fantasy. And there was when I looked at the data, it was very interesting. And you'll see what I see when I pull it up. Yep, you got to bench Akers, like I said. Yeah, that's amazing that you were able to pull that off, too. I actually had Joe Mixon as a first round grade. All right, let's see. I'm not answering this question. Should I trade Deontay Johnson for DJ Moore? Hell no. Nope. I don't know, man. Like, not now. It's too soon. It's week 1. I wouldn't worry about that quite yet. We're gonna pull up some data, so it's a good comparison. We'll talk about Curtis Samuel as well. I love Javonte. But James Robinson is interesting too. All right. I'm going to do this commercial real quick for Underdog, and then we're going to talk about the positions and go through the data after the commercial. So let's do this. What's going on, guys? This is Dave from PNP, and I'm here to talk to you about Underdog Fantasy. I just want to remind you that's the easiest place to play. There ain't too many places where you can win 20 times your money in the same night, utilizing higher lowers in the pick'em game. And now they have pick'em insurance, where while you won't win the same amount of money that you did before, you can miss one and still bring home some money. So if you do it 3 times, you can potentially still get your money back if you end up missing one. Go to UnderdogFantasy.com and sign up today and use the code PNP when you do. And the $100 deposit match still stands. Underdog Fantasy. Make sure you go to Underdog Fantasy, ladies and gentlemen. Now, let's have a conversation about this data, because when I went through this data this morning, before I went into work, while I was waiting in line to vote, this was very interesting. So I'm gonna first, because we're talking about quarterbacks, I'm gonna first separate by fantasy points. Now, this is the PPR format, standard PPR format. Just an FYI for everybody else in the chat. So let me pull up my quarterback banner real quick so we can have some focus. Oh, that's blocking stuff. I'll have to fix that later. So we're going over quarterbacks right now. All right, so here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Baker Mayfield was 13th. As bad as Joe Burrow was, because I know he had 4 picks, he still came out as the 12th quarterback in fantasy. So in a 12-team league, he was still startable. But if you guys watch my recommendations when it came to the quarterback positions prior to the fantasy season, I mentioned the big four quarterbacks that you should absolutely go after first if you can get one of them. And if you get one of them, if you can't get one of them, then I recommended that you wait it, because then it becomes a crapshoot. You still can't see. Hold on a second. The only prop, well, can I see that? I don't like how that looks. No, because I need to be able to see. I want you guys to see the fantasy points. I think the big thing I want you to focus on is Mahomes, there's the player and the points. I just don't like how this is formatted. I'm going to try to find a better place to look at this stuff. So Mahomes was the top guy at 34.9. He was one of my big four. Josh Allen was second place. I thought he was the top. I thought he was the number one rated fantasy for the rated quarterback in fantasy for the season. He ended up in second with 31.48. Another person that was in my top 5 was Justin Herbert. That was good for 5th place at 23.26. And Lamar Jackson ended up 8th at 20.22. And he didn't really have a good game. He didn't have a Lamar type game. So, and then I've been harping on Jalen Hurts being a sleeper, and he ended up 4th. Carson Wentz was 3rd, and he's available in a lot of leagues. So if you need a quarterback, there's your guy. That's a recommendation. I think he's probably streamer status right now. Another guy that kind of popped was Marcus Mariota. I mean, Marcus Mariota ended up in the top 10 in fantasy for the Falcons with 19.8 fantasy points. But I think the most interesting thing about this whole ordeal between Lamar Jackson, and this is why I have that discussion about between Lamar Jackson and Geno Smith. So Lamar Jackson was 8th, right? Geno Smith was 15th. Between Lamar Jackson and Geno Smith, there's only a 3-point difference. So like the big guys, the top dogs, like your Patrick Mahomes, your Josh Allens, they're out here in the 30s. Those are top tier guys that will probably be consistent for the bulk of the season. And Justin Herbert will probably be up there as well. But then when you get down to the 20-point range, the gap doesn't get wide anymore. It starts closing in. So you're talking 20 to 17 between 8th and 15th, which is why I said unless you get one of the big four that has that level of upside, then you kind of could have waited in the draft. And this is the sample size of that. Baker Mayfield wasn't drafted. You know what I'm saying? Russell Wilson was. Baker Mayfield outscored him. But you can blame Nathaniel Hackett for that. Out here trying to kick 64-yard field goals with a minute left. All right, so, but like Geno had 17 points. Daniel Jones had 16 points. Davis Mills, 15 points. He outdid some of the other rookies like your Justin Fields, your Trevor Lawrences. Tom Brady was not good. He only had 10 points. Trey Lance was terrible. He only had 10 points. Dak Prescott, he got hurt. So, charge that to the game. Aaron Rodgers with only 3.7 points is scary, bro. I'm going to be honest. And the fact that Jordan Love almost got as many points as him and he only had 5 passes says a lot. Cooper Rush, who came in on relief, wasn't too far away from Aaron Rodgers as well. But the bottom line is Aaron Rodgers was a bottom 5 quarterback in fantasy. I mean, Mac Jones had more points than him. Matthew Stafford had more points than him. And Matthew Stafford was another guy that got drafted that did not do well at all. So when you start looking at your options at quarterback, there's a lot of guys that's going to be available in leagues that you can go after. Like Carson Wentz is available in a lot of leagues. I think when you think about a quarterback option, I would probably prefer Winston. If you're talking season long, I would probably lean towards Winston more than Wentz for now. But Wentz should be picked up. I think Wentz got opportunities as a streamer. But I probably would prefer Jameis over Wentz right now. Those two guys are available in most leagues. According to ESPN, Winston is only rostered in 36% of leagues. Wentz is only rostered in about 17% of leagues. So these guys are going to be available in most leagues that you're in. Marcus Mariota is available is only rostered in almost 4% of leagues. So he's available pretty much in most leagues. We know Baker's available. He's only rostered in almost 14%. And I'm pretty sure Tannehill's available a lot of leagues too, 16.6%. So you have opportunities if you're not happy with your quarterback situation. And Geno's interesting, man. I'm gonna say that Geno looked good. He was efficient, very efficient. So this is probably a guy that might be a slow and steady win the race type of situation. Very efficient. He got opportunities to run. He scrambled for 3 times, so you got a little bit of running chops in there. Very efficient. 17 points, ain't nothing to sniff at. So you got options there. Let me see what the questions are looking like from the quarterback perspective. Yeah, I agree, man. Hurts definitely could be in the top 3 when it's all said and done. Yeah, Mariota could be in the streaming type, but you never know, man, because if Atlanta's behind a lot, like you got to remember, man, like some of these teams, these quarterbacks are going to be good. I want a fantasy league championship with Blake Bortles. So it all depends on how you look at it. Blake Bortles was good, and that was a bad season for him, for the Jags. Blake Bortles was good because his team was always behind. Since his team was always behind, he had to slang it. He had to throw the ball. I mean, those are fantasy points too. Those are top 10 team. Was a top 10 fantasy quarterback. You never think he was a good NFL quarterback. For fantasy, he was outstanding. So you got to look at it a little bit differently from that perspective. We know that Aaron Rodgers is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. But that man only got you 3 fantasy points this week. Now, I appreciate it, man. Yeah, I'm worried about Trey Lance, man. And a lot of folks was speaking highly of him. I have in my keeper league, I have Tom Brady and Trey Lance, and I'm going to go after a quarterback this week. So we're gonna see how that goes. Mac Jones or Wentz. I'll take Wentz here. I think Mac Jones is gonna have a down year. Should I trade Marvin Jones for Curtis Samuel? Hell yeah. We're gonna talk about some targets in a few once we get to the running backs and wide receivers. Let's talk about Dameon Pierce. Dameon Pierce is in trouble because I guess he's not good at pass protection. So that means they're not going to put him in on passing downs. And if that's the case, Rex Burkhead could take his job. Lovie Smith said something to that effect after the game. So if he's not good at pass pro, that means Rex Burkhead is going to take over. And that's another guy that I was going to talk about when we get into the running back position. You only bench Zeke. It all depends on who you got. You don't just bench Zeke just to bench him. It ain't a Cam Akers situation. We know that Ezekiel Elliott is going to get the work. So it's not a situation where you just bench him just to bench him. Well, those are breaks. Depends on who you have, man. I mean, in one of my leagues, I might not have much of a choice but to start Zeke because of my situation with the running back position. So it's all about who you have behind them. Let me see. Yeah, I'm intrigued to see how Geno does against the Saints. It's a thing that I do, man. Like when I do fantasy football, and it's kind of when I play fantasy football, my goal is to set up a roster to get me into the tournament. And it's funny because I was talking about this when in one of my drafts. In one of my money leagues that I'm in, I talked about because they talked about, hey, Dave, you never won the league. And I was like, you're right. I've never won the league, but I promise you I probably made more money than pretty much everybody here because I make the playoffs more than everybody. So you can't win the money if you ain't in the playoffs. You can't. Because once you get in the playoffs, there's going to be some level of luck that's going to be involved to pull it off. Have I won leagues? Yeah, I've won a lot. But you got to understand, you got to have a team built to make the playoffs first. And then you try to close it out. And get in the money. The goal is to get in the money, and if you win, then you got a pot with you. You want to win all your leagues, obviously, but you got to make the playoffs to win. That's the first step. If it's a 2 QB league, I don't do QB2s. I rarely do QB2s. There's got to be certain situations. In my keeper league, I occasionally do it because of how the rosters are set up. But in most leagues that I do, season long leagues, I don't do QB2s. I despise QB2s. I just pick a QB. I just pick a second QB in the bye week. If my quarterback gets hurt, I go to the waivers and grab somebody, and I just stream. QB, it's not random, but like you can always leverage matchups to get good QB play. Typically, you can win. You can win a fantasy championship streaming quarterbacks. I've done it numerous times. One year I started Deshaun Kaiser. Remember him? You know what I'm saying? I would just stream QBs every week until I'm ready to rock. That was the league where I ended up closing out with Blake Bortles. I played Blake Bortles the final month of the season. All right. Let's see. Pierce was absolutely overdrafted. He was overdrafted. I think people were raving about what happened in the preseason with him. All right, let's see. No. Don't do that. Zeke or Travis Etienne. Oh God, I'm Zeke. I'm rolling. I'm gonna. I'll come back to this. I'm leaning towards Zeke. Well, PPR probably Travis, but it's close. This is really close because I think Zeke's gonna struggle while Dak's out. But it looks like they're not gonna put Dak on IR, so he'd probably be back in less than 4 weeks. So with Dak back, that'll help. Might be, but I think Pollard's going to get more involved here. My opinion on that. I would have never drafted Mac Jones in the first place, by the way, just to be clear. They don't have a good play caller. I warn folks about Mac Jones when it comes to what will happen when he doesn't have help around him, and we're about to see it. 1 week, man. I'm starting Aaron Rodgers over Baker Mayfield 10 out of 10 times. All right. I can't. I mean, you can say the same thing for Cam, but it's not happening. You forget about it. Cooper Rush has been in the offseason the whole time with the team. That's who's going to start. Yep. We're about to do running backs in 1 minute. I'm gonna chill with the comments from now because I wanted to try to keep the questions to the end. All right, so quarterbacks are quarterbacks. Like I said, when you want to talk about who you want to pick up, Carson Wentz is an option if you need a quarterback. Jameis Winston, I think I prefer Jameis Winston over Carson if you're talking long term. Streamer Carson's a good opportunity though. Mariota's interesting. Geno's interesting. Baker's interesting. And I think I'm going to stop it there. Tua, maybe. Yeah. But he's already rostered in so many leagues, so he's probably gone. Joe Flacco threw the ball a lot. He threw the ball almost 60 times against the Jets here, against the Ravens. Very interesting. I know he's not. We're talking streamer, and who do the Jets play next week? Cleveland. Nah, I don't think I want to mess with him next week against Cleveland. All right, so that's that. Let's talk about running backs, man. Running backs is intriguing. Here are your leaders. So let's look at our leaders here. Saquon Barkley. He wasn't drafted in the first round. Jonathan Taylor. He was drafted number 1 overall. DeAndre Swift. He wasn't drafted in the first round. Kareem Hunt. He wasn't drafted in the first round. Cordell Patterson. He wasn't drafted in the first round. So a lot of these folks that are up here, Joe Mixon's tweener, some folks took him in the first. Okay. Dylan wasn't. Gibson wasn't. I hope you notice a trend here. I like Javonte Williams a lot, but he was a second-round guy. So when you look at these top running backs, a lot of these folks weren't drafted in the first round. But one thing I'm going to tell you right now, don't let Dontrell Hilliard fool you. I don't think you should pick him up. The man only had 5 touches. He just so happened to have 2 touchdowns. We can't go off that. All right? Can't go off that. Can't. Derrick Henry's still the guy. If you have Derrick Henry, you probably should pick him up as a handcuff, but he only had 5 carries. Don't let the 29. So that's why it's important to look at this data to see how these folks get these points. Touchdowns are not something that you can depend on. Like, you want players that are going to ball out if I remove the touchdown. For example, Jonathan Taylor, he got a touchdown if I take this 6 away, he still has 21.5 points. If I take Saquon Barkley's touchdown away, he has 27 points. That would still be good for first in fantasy without the TD. You got to be cautious about having these touchdown-dependent folks. So be cautious of that. So pay attention to the data, man. Pay attention to how much rushing yard, how many carries these guys are getting, how many targets these guys are getting. Speaking, let's talk about some of these running backs that were drafted in the first round. Christian McCaffrey, we talked about that when we went over the Panthers. 15.7 fantasy points. I think he's going to get more work against the Giants this upcoming week. I think he'll get more targets, and I think he'll get more carries. I think total 20 touches is where he's going to probably land. I know for the folks who took him 2 overall, he probably won 25 touches. So we'll see how that goes. The thing that's interesting to me, though, Joe Mixon getting 34 touches. 34 touches, 27 carries, 7 catches. That is so intriguing to me. Antonio Gibson is a viable option until Brian Robinson comes back, so you got a couple weeks with him. When he comes back, it becomes interesting. Maybe you take the opportunity to leverage Antonio Gibson's good day and trade him, try to get some value. Maybe you find a panicky Christian McCaffrey owner and pull the trigger on that. Those are things that you can consider, because this is a long season, ladies and gentlemen. Miles Sanders had a good day. I've never been a fan of Miles Sanders. 15 touches. Once again, 15 touches. He had a TD. So, but I'm not Miles Sanders guy. Something to keep on. I'll die by that sword. If I'm wrong about him, so be it. Jamal Williams, I'm not panicking. He's interesting though. He did get 12 touches. DeAndre Swift got 18 touches, so it might be a split backfield. Jamal Williams is an intriguing situation, but he did get 2 TDs. You take the 2 TDs away, you only got 4 fantasy points, guys. You're talking less than 3 yards per carry for rushing. We know that DeAndre Smith is still the guy, so those are the breaks. As we continue to scroll down, Fournette was another guy that was taken late in the first round. He's putting in the work. I'm not too worried about him. Dalvin Cook, same thing. No TDs. Put in the work. No worry about him. Darrell Henderson Jr., man, you might want to go ahead and pick him up if he's available. Based on this, he's probably not available. Well, no, he's available in a lot of leagues. He's on the roster at 46%. So if he's available, you should probably go after him. He's probably going to have a job for a little bit until Cam Akers is done. Another guy that might be available that's up here. Like I don't think you need to go after Hillard. Smoke screen, all set. Grab him if you have Henry as your starting running back. James Robinson, he's not available anywhere. We'll go into targets in a minute. Rex Burkhead. Yeah, I like him a lot. 19 touches, no TDs. Until Pierce learns how to run block, man, you need to be concerned. He's going to get the love here. So, and I know Burkhead's available. He's on the roster to 17%, so he's available in a lot of your leagues. Another interesting guy you need to start thinking about right now, after what happened with David Montgomery, Herbert outplayed him. But I think this is more of a whole type of situation. I think if you have David Montgomery, wouldn't hurt to go pick this man up if you can. He is available in almost 75% of the league, over 75% of leagues. So that's another guy you should consider. Najee, I'm not panicked yet, but yeah, he might play this week. He might not. So we'll see. Something to monitor. Just got to start him if he starts. Aaron Jones, it goes back. Aaron Jones only touched the ball 8 times. A.J. Dillon did get the bulk of that work. A.J. Dillon touched the ball 15 times. Something to keep an eye on. Not panicking yet about Aaron Jones, but it's just something to monitor. Chase Edmonds looks like he's going to be the top guy in the backfield of Miami, but he's not available anywhere. He was drafted everywhere, so, that's how it goes sometimes. Brandon Bolden, smoke screen, only 5 touches. Not panicking over that. Rashad Penny, 14 touches. I like him, but he's already taken. You should be worried about NTN. He only touched the ball 6 times. Not panicking over Derrick Henry. David Montgomery, he still got 20 touches. Not panicking quite yet. Just something to monitor about Herbert, because Herbert outplayed him with the opportunities that he's got. Kamara only got 12 touches. Not panicking yet. Looks like he might have gotten hurt. So something to keep an eye on. Makes Mark Ingram interesting. So let's I think I've drawn down the running back situation a little far at this rate. Let's see. Oh, I did skip over CH. CH had a good day. He had a really good day. CH would have touched the ball 10 times though. He only got 2 TDs. So I mean, without TDs, he only had 10 points. So, but he only touched the ball 10 times. But I still think I still like CEH. To say Betty's the top guy there. So, all right. So, I want to look at the targets for these guys because the target share was interesting. So here's the targets. Look who's at the top of the heap. All right. Targets turn into catches. Catches can turn into touchdowns. The PPR league, this is important. And I think for Javonte Williams, man, this is big. You know, he was my Monday Night Miracle last night for Monday night. So 12 targets. Led the league in targets. There's a lot of wide receivers that have 12 targets. Put in perspective, DJ Moore had half of these. He only had 6. So this is good. You know, same goes for Breece Hall. Looks like he's going to be the pass catching guy. But Michael Carter got 9. So that tells you a lot about how the Jets feel about their receivers if their running backs got 19 targets. But now the caveat is Joe Flacco threw the ball 59 times. So just, so but even still, right? You're talking that your running backs for the Jets got a third of the target share between Breece Hall and Michael Carter. Antonio Gibson getting 8 targets is very interesting, ladies and gentlemen. Very interesting. 21 touches total, 8 targets. Love it. Rex Burkhead, this is why he's probably going to be potentially have the potential to be a 3-down back because he can catch balls out of the backfield. He got 14 carries. Interesting. Looks good. Jonathan Taylor, 7 targets. Pretty damn good if you ask me for a running back. Same goes for Saquon Barkley. This is good stuff for both of these guys. Barkley has a real legit shot if he stays healthy to end up being the top guy in fantasy. Folks who took a chance on him got a steal. Might potentially have a steal here. A.J. Dillon having 6 targets, really good stuff. If you can get a running back that has at least 5 targets, that's where you want to be. That's good stuff. You can get the running back that has at least 5 targets and gets the work. That's an optimal position to be in. That means you have opportunities. You would love to have a 10-target running back, a la historically like a Christian McCaffrey, but there ain't too many of those running around. But the ones that are at the top are very intriguing. Something to keep an eye on. I think if you ask me right now, the best running back to go after that's probably available, Rex Burkhead. And then Jeff Wilson Jr., since Eli Mitchell's going to be out for a while. Because Eli Mitchell's available everywhere. So, but if you ask me right now, a guy that I know for a fact that might put in some work and get you some points, give me Rex Burkhead. Definitely RB2, low-end RB2 flex guy right there. Nyheim Hines getting 6 targets is interesting. Pure PPR status, right? So if you want him, then that's an option. But you got to remember that Jonathan Taylor is the top dog. So just keep that in mind. Cordell Patterson's another 5-target guy that you can look into. P-Ron's interesting, but once again, he's going to be TD dependent. Austin Eckler getting 4 targets is kind of worrisome. Kind of concerned about that. Hopefully that goes up a little bit. Same goes for Kamara. I already talked about McCaffrey. Montgomery, little worried. Etienne, a little worried. So, Kareem Hunt, 16 touches is interesting. No, I'm looking at it wrong. No, 15 touches is good. That's about what I expect out of Kareem Hunt. So, Kareem Hunt, if you had both running backs for Cleveland, you start both. Not a problem with that whatsoever. He could be this year's Jonathan Stewart or D'Angelo Williams from back in the day. So, let me go look at some questions regarding the running back position. Let's see. Let's see. Yeah, McKinnon's interesting too. But I mean, KC, man, they got so many places to throw the ball with. Jeff Wilson Jr. I would take my chance with Jeff Wilson Jr. on that one. I think he's going to get the work. Give me CEH. I agree. Running backs for the 49ers are very tough. And with Mike McDaniel gone, we don't know how this is going to unfold. Things might change with him gone, but Shanahan's still there, so we'll see. Oh, let me be clear, Q6. I completely agree with what you're saying. There's no reason to panic right now. This is week 1. But there's probably somebody on the bottom of your bench that's probably not worth keeping. That's what you need to start considering. Think about who's at the bottom of your bench. If you have a second defense or special teams, a backup defense or special teams, if you have a backup kicker, if you have a backup quarterback, probably should consider dropping them and try to get one of these guys that's available to you. Just my opinion. Ooh, yeah, we're about to talk about wide receivers, man, and we're going to have a nice little discussion about that. This is hard. I like James Robinson, though, right now, for now, but you probably can't go wrong either way here. I think Cooks is probably more of a wide receiver, too. So I think PPR, probably lean towards Cooks. Bateman. Oh, I said it already, man. Appreciate the super chat, the champs. Appreciate the super chat, Noli. Yeah, I'm leaning towards Jeff Wilson Jr. here. The way Allen Lazard was out, got to check and see if he's coming back. Christian Watson at best might be the third option. The fact that the running backs led the team in targets for the Packers. Let's pull up the Packers real quick from as a whole. Let's do Green Bay. Here's your target share for the Packers. You got Dillon, Jones, Dubes, Tanyan, Watson, Watkins. And remember, we're missing Lazard. Lazard might play this week, so we'll see. So keep that in. So I repeat: Dillon, Jones, Dobbs, Tanyan, then Watson. The fifth option. Kind of tough. Very tough. Might be somebody that can win your league later. Not sure if y'all want to hold him if you really need wide receiver help. Maybe if you want to keep him on the bottom of your bench. Oh, I do remember this. Both of them had injury challenges too. I wouldn't do that. You got to have some. If Nyheim Hines is the worst guy you got, I don't think I want to commit to doing this. Especially if you have Jonathan Taylor. You can't do this. I mean, I would think about it, but I would think about it off that alone. I think I would swap unless you have Jonathan Taylor. I think you got to keep Hines. So I think I would do it. On second thought, I think I would do it. Unless you have Jonathan Taylor. If you have Jonathan Taylor, you got to keep Hines. Got to keep your handcuff. I would start AJ Dillon here. Yeah, well, we got to see what happens with Tony. I think Tony is still recovering, but I will say, I think I'm not ready. I think I would drop him. Let's look at the target share for the Giants real quick. Let's look at the Giants. NYG. Yeah, no targets. He ran the ball twice. Yeah, I think I would drop him. I know he's still trying to get back on the swing of things, but yeah, with the fact that he had no targets, he got more carries than targets. Yeah, I think to get some of the guys I've mentioned so far, I would do it. Week 1's wild, but week 1 says a lot. I mean, once we start getting more data, then we can start having more discussion points. DJ Moore or Cordell Patterson. Cordell, man, I was wrong about him too. I didn't think he was going to do as good as he did. I'm still a DJ Moore advocate, but the 8 targets from Robbie Anderson got me worried a little bit. I'll be honest. I still think I'm gonna lean towards Moore here, though. All right, let's see. Nah, I'm not ready to drop him yet. Let's look at the Eagles targets real quick. That was an interesting one too. So look at Philadelphia. I'm not ready to do it yet, but nah. Look at this, man. Look at this. Look at this. 13 targets for A.J. Brown. And everybody else, the next 3 tied for 4. At least Devonta Smith one of them, but he didn't get no catches. So Goddard took advantage of his opportunities. Devonta Smith did not. Kenneth Gainwell took advantage. But yeah, man, but we'll talk about Miles Sanders real quick. If Miles Sanders continues to get the 15 touches, I'm going to have to own up to being wrong about him. He had a good day. I mean, I can't deny it. But yeah, man, 13 targets, bro. There was one that was really interesting. Let me show you this one. I'm going to show you the Chargers, and then we'll move on. Look at this. 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4. 7 4s for the LA Chargers. 7 4s. These 7 guys all got 4 targets. Some capitalized, some got TDs off of it. Very interesting. And Keenan Allen's hurt. It doesn't like he's going to play next week. So I would tell you, I mean, Josh Palmer's probably the next guy up. Maybe DeAndre Carter. Crapshoot there. So there you go. The distribution of the targets was interesting. And then you had 2 more with 2 targets, 2 more with 1. When I was going through this, man, this was the wildest thing to me. So yeah, I'll let that sit up there for a minute. All right. Let me see here. Robinson and Carter. Tyson Hill. I would go with Jeff Wilson. Yo, running backs are rough, man. If your RB2 is Hines. Nah, but man, you don't have to, you might have a wide receiver that you could potentially drop to go get Burkhead. I don't think you want to drop Hines if those are your RB1s and 2s. I'll tell you that right now. I would not want to do that. That's not wise. Okay, let's see. Pitts for Elijah Moore and Damian Pierce. I've never been a fan of playing. You would trade Pitts? If you would trade Pitts, I don't think I still would do that. Let's look at the Jets' target share. But the Jets this week is tough because Flacco threw the ball 60 times. Elijah Moore was 5th in targets. Behind Breece Hall and Michael Carter, who got 10 and 9 respectively. And so Corey Davis got 9. So receiver-wise, he was the third in targets, but 5th total. Tyler Conklin was interesting with 7 targets. But this is going to be a tough barometer because I don't think Joe Flacco is going to throw the ball 60 times. So, yeah, this is going to be a tough one. If you got Pitts, I would probably do it. I will see if I can get a better running back than Pierce, though, if you have Pitts. Bro, that's where I'm at. Every single time I draft Miles Sanders, he don't help me, so I stayed away. Yo, Dave, real talk, I just offered Justin Jefferson and James Robinson for my CMC and Mike Williams. Whew, that's a pretty even trade if you keep it a buck. I actually might prefer this side of it. Because Justin Jefferson is loads better than Mike Williams. James Robinson is a risk because if NTN starts getting better at his job, that's going to impact James Robinson. But I think right now, and Doug Peterson likes to split his backfield up. So I think right now, this is tough. I think, though, Justin Jefferson is probably the best player here. But upside-wise, if CMC stay healthy, I think I would probably do this. I would probably take this side of it. Who's your other running backs if you're willing to give up CMC? That's the question of the day. I think I would take this side of it, but I need to know who your other running backs are. Because Justin Jefferson, like Slim said, he's probably going to be a top 3 player. JJ got a higher ceiling. But the problem is the running backs. Who's going to be your – if you trade CMC away, who is going to be your starting running backs? No. It all depends on what you need. If you had Eli Mitchell, then yes, you need to do this. I think Myers is going to probably be the top target getter in New England. So he might have space in your roster. Speaking of, let's all right. We've been sitting at the running back position for a while. Let's get to wide receivers, man. We got to go through this. So while my computer decides to be on the internet. Oh man, this is taking a long time. Give me one second. All right, there we go. Wide receiver. Here are your leaders. Here's your leaders. First round, Teeter, first round. Big three was Jefferson, Kupp, Chase. I think I had it ordered Kupp, Jefferson, Chase. And they are three out of the top four guys. Pittman did really well. Stephon Diggs was up there, was one of the higher drafted guys. Cooper Kupp did really well. A.J. Brown, 13 targets. So did really well. Michael Thomas, we were worried about whether or not he was healthy or not. I think we have the answer to that question. Had an outstanding day. And he had 8 targets. Devin Duvernay. I think you might have to consider picking this guy up. But then again, he only had 4 targets, but he took advantage of it. Goes back to the touchdown theory. We'll do a quick comparison of the target share for him. Robbie Anderson, man, he's a waiver wire pickup. I mean, if he got 8 targets this week, which tells me that this might be a situation where he's going to get more opportunities than he did last year with Sam Darnold. So I think he's a pickup for me. Curtis Samuel as well. Curtis Samuel is absolutely a pickup for me. This man had 11 targets. Making me nervous about Terry McLaurin a bit. He's the pickup for me. For the sake of percentages, Devin Duvernay, he's only available at 2.5%. Robbie Anderson, I said he was only available. He's only rostered in 2.5% leagues. Robbie is only rostered in 37.6%. So he's probably available in a lot of leagues. Curtis Samuel wasn't rostered hardly everywhere. So yeah, he's probably my top guy I want to go after. From a wide receiver perspective, I got Curtis Samuel as my number one guy from a waiver wire pickup perspective. Jarvis Landry is up there as well, but he's already available. He's already utilized it. He's already rostered in a lot of leagues. Dotson's interesting, but that's more of a low end side of the fence. He got 5 targets in this game. DeAndre Carter, we talked about him. Look at Brandon Cooks though. This is the type of thing I like to see, and we're gonna stack up the targets for these players. Brandon Cooks got 12 targets, man. No touchdowns, 7 catches, 82 yards. PPR league, 15 points. Take that any day in a week, twice on Sunday. To get 15 points with no TDs is the beautiful thing. Beautiful thing. Because that means he ain't got to have a TD to have a pretty good day. Then on top of that, if you get a touchdown, you're in the 20s. You live in the dream. All right. So, Greg Dortch was a nice surprise. Deebo Samuel, he had 8 targets. So the concern is the quarterback situation. Same goes for Mr. Deontay Johnson. Somebody asked me about Deontay Johnson. He had 12 targets, guys. I'll take that in a day of the week, twice on Sundays. With 12 targets, if he only catches half the balls, that's 6 points. So that's what you want. Pettis is a smoke screen. But we're getting that deep down and dirty. So let's go up to the targets. Let's do targets real quick. This is where it gets interesting. Let's start with these targets. Look at these targets, man. Look at these targets. I talked about it all off season. You want to draft guys that's going to get a lot of targets. That's why I'm so high on Brandon Cooks. Because if nobody else is going to get those targets. Brandon Cooks was a target monster. 12 targets. Good enough for 6 in target share. 5-way tie with 4 other players. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Christian Kirk. Christian Kirk was always intriguing because he was going to get the targets in Jacksonville. Justin Jefferson only got 11, but Justin Jefferson is efficient, as you can see. 9 catches, 184 yards, 2 touchdowns. Even without the touchdowns, he still would have been one of the highest rated wide receivers in fantasy this week. So, love Justin Jefferson. Big fan of him. I'm not panicking on CD Lamb from the standpoint of having to utilize him. We'll see what happens with Cooper Rush, but he got 11 targets on Sunday night. Like I said, I love Curtis Samuel. Donovan Peoples-Jones is interesting too, ladies and gentlemen. That man got 11 targets as well. Somebody that's definitely available in a lot of leagues. He's only rostered in 1.7%. So if you need somebody with more targets, there's somebody you need to think about. Landry's taking in a lot of leads. Zay Jones, 9 targets, only rostered in 1.1%. Another guy you should start thinking about grabbing if you need some help. Greg Dortch, temporary thing, might change when DeAndre Hopkins come back. Something you need to keep in mind. If you need some short term, depending on how your waiver wire set up, deeper leagues, not a bad thought. 8 target territory. We talked about Robbie Anderson. He's available in a lot of leagues. Not as much as some of the others. DJ Chark, another guy you consider. 8 targets. Can't complain. Troy's going to be slinging it a lot. So anybody else that I think that could be, if Higgins is out for a while, Tyler Boyd is a thought. But he's not available in a lot of leagues, so I don't think he's a thought anymore. Myers. He's available in a lot of leagues. Myers got, how many targets did Myers got? 6. He might end up being in the league. We'll pull up some teams and look at some of the target share for some of these other teams too. And if you got some teams you want to look at from target share, just put it in the chat. We already went over a couple. Gabe Davis, 5 targets, second wide receiver, but he's very efficient when he get his. Crazy stat. Like typically, if he gets 5 targets, he tends to get a touchdown. So something to keep in mind. Bateman's only gotten 5. Something to keep in mind too. But when you talk about targets, man, these are the guys you want to go after. You want the guys that's going to get all these get the target share. And as time goes along, we'll look through the data and see how it goes. But there's some teams that ain't got no choice but to throw to. All right. Let's see here. We'll look and see. Let's see here. Let's see. Nah, there's an opportunity to trade him. If you get the right value, you can trade him. If you get the right value for T-Mac, you absolutely can trade him. Absolutely. My wide receiver on the bench, I have DJ Boyd, Burks, Jones Jr. I'm trying to trade for Curtis. Okay. Based on what you're saying, I would drop one of these guys to go get Burkhead, in my opinion. If you really need a running back situation, that's what I would do. Let's see here. Landry was balling, man. He had a phenomenal second half. Yeah, they used Curtis Samuel pretty interesting, man. They put him back to the old way they used him when he was in Carolina before he got signed with Washington. Are you trying, like, Eddie, help me out, bro. Are you trying to trade 4 Pitts? Why would you try to trade 4 Pitts if you have Travis Kelce? I wouldn't do that. No, I wouldn't do that. Right now, I'm leaning towards yes because he's getting the target share, man. I mean, I haven't lost faith in DJ yet. I'm more concerned about how that target share split's going to be. Like, I think DJ Moore, I felt like prior to the season, he had an opportunity to be a top 10 fantasy wide receiver. But if the target share is changing significantly, I still think he's probably a wide receiver 2. But I think there might be some weeks where Brandon Cooks could have wide receiver 1 numbers. So, just take that into account for my PPR perspective because of the target share that he's getting. Let me think about that for a second. Let me pull up something. Let's look up the target share for the Titans. Burks had 5 targets. Second most on the team. Well, hold on. Let me do all. Hold up. Second most on the team. I don't think I want to do that. I don't think I want to trade away. I don't think I want to drop Burks because he's second most on the team. Versus Baltimore, Maryland, where he's fourth on the team here. I don't know if I want to do that. Duvernay is TD dependent. He got 2 TDs. I don't think I would. I think I would keep Burks and sit this one out and wait and see what happens, man. I don't think I would think I would keep Burks here. Well, what does the list say? Right now, the numbers disagree with you, sir. Baker got 18. Mills got 15. So I ain't rolling. I don't agree, Noli. I don't agree at all. Yes. That's why I was concerned about Waller. Yes. And we haven't looked at the tight ends yet. Let's go back and look at this again. He led the league in targets last week. Adams had 17 targets. We know why Chase had 16, right? I mean, he lost Higgins, so you know that's going to help him more than it's going to help him. It's going to help Boyd, but Chase is going to get some of those targets now that Higgins is out. But Devontae Adams, yes, is going to impact him. Let's look at the Raiders, not the Rams. Sorry, it's Las Vegas. Sorry, my bad. 17-6. Oh, tight ends. Let me put everybody. Hold on. Let's just do flex here. All right. 17-6-6-2-1-1-1-1. All right. So 17-6-6. Adams is going to chew up their targets. And you got to remember, guys, Derek Carr played with Devontae Adams in college at Fresno State. So keep that in mind. Yeah, this is going to be a problem. The only time that won't happen is if defenses make the decision to double team Adams, and even then I still think Carr will throw it occasionally. And then I would probably give opportunities for Renfro. Then I'll put Waller in a rough spot. Part of the reason why I wasn't as high on Waller and Renfro this year is because now you got Devontae Adams, who has a quarterback that he's familiar with, when Derek Carr is going to chew up a lot of targets. Whenever you got like a freaking elite level wide receiver that jumps into a situation, the playoff team, the target's got to go somewhere. And Devontae Adams is going to get at least 10 a week. That's the league minimum. We know that as the wide receiver 1. I love Gabe Davis. Number 2 wide receiver in a high-powered offense. Love him. Worried about Renfro and his target share. Because I think everybody else is going to be fighting for scraps. 6 targets is pretty good for like a wide receiver 2, low-end wide receiver 2, flex type of situation. That's pretty good. But, perfect world, I want all my receivers to have at least 10 targets, then I'm starting. All right. Nah, you're always good for 1. Over time, it takes a minute to figure it out. Myers might be that guy. If he's available, I would pull the trigger, but I don't think Myers is available in a lot of leagues, so. Let's pull up Denver. Give me 1 second. Targets, we got Javonte, Judy, Sutton. They got the same amount of targets. Biggest difference is that Judy got that touchdown pass. That literally was the difference between the two of them in essence. Because it was a pretty long play, if I remember correctly, about 23-yard play. Look at Alberto. I like that. We're about to go into tight ends in a minute. I'm gonna go finish up these questions real quick, and then we'll get into tight ends because I've already given y'all over an hour. Typically, I have a goal to try to keep this in 30 minutes, but if I'm starting at 7:30, I'll try to push an hour. So we'll see how it goes. Which wide receiver would you rather trade for? I have Eckler and Higgins. Higgins is a problem. Oh, T. Higgins. You're talking about T. Higgins, not Rashard Higgins. Juju, Thielen, Godwin, Dev, Myers, start 2. Juju 1. Yeah, truth be told, man. I probably would say Myers 2, believe it or not, because I'm worried about Devontae Smith and Godwin and Thielen. But Juju's definitely the 1. I think Godwin should be healthier. So I think if Godwin's more healthy, I'll probably put Godwin at 2. You're trading away Pitts because you should have dropped the both in the first place. So let me go back to your question then. If you're trading Pitts, that answers my question. I wouldn't do this trade. I would keep Pitts here. But the other one where you could potentially get, let me see, where's the other one that you had? Where is it at? No. Thanks for the super chat, though. No. Why would I pick up Cam Newton? Cam Newton had an interview where he pretty much said unless he has a full offseason, he doesn't want to try to sign with a team. That kind of alienates him a little bit, don't you think? That's just my opinion on that situation. When you make a comment like that, it kind of sounds like you don't, I mean, he might get the opportunity, but it sounds like that you want a full offseason to make it happen. And there we go. One of these. If you can trade Pitts for this one, I would do it in a heartbeat. I'm fine with this one too. Particularly, I would like to have Brandon Cooks. Either one is fine, but if you can pull this one off right here, that's what I would try. Have this as the secondary, but this is the one I would try. I would try Saquon and Elijah first. Then I would try Javonte and Elijah first. And then I would try Cooks and Dameon Pierce. That's my order. So yeah, I would do that because you don't need Pitts, man. Even though as a tight end, I think he's going to be fine, and I think he's going to get the target distribution as a tight end, but you don't need it. All right. So he was trading away Pitts. There's your answer, Eddie. I would stay where I'm at. With this 4. Out of the wide receivers that I like that are available, let me go back here. Samuel. I like Curtis Samuel. That's my top guy. I like Curtis Samuel, Robbie Anderson, Donovan Peoples-Jones, Zay Jones. Those are the guys. Greg Dortch, if you just want a temporary type of situation. So, like, since you have, CeeDee Lamb, be interesting. Just not sure if I want to drop anybody to do this. Because I like Sutton. I like Higgins. Depends on what Higgins' situation is. I think he's going to be back sooner. If you really want to drop somebody, maybe Bateman. But let's look at the target. Let me go back and look at the target share again for Baltimore real quick because, my memory's trash. I don't remember everybody. He was the second in targets. We only got 5. I don't know, man. There's nobody else you can drop, like a backup quarterback or a backup defense or a backup kicker, because I know some of you guys like to play him, so like to bring him on to put him on the roster. You're in good shape, bro. You got all the leverage. I would try to improve upon my depth, particularly at both positions. You got all the leverage, bro. I would trade Pitts in a heartbeat. You don't need him. You're never going to play him, so you need to trade him and get some value back. Henderson here. I don't know how long it's going to take before Cam Akers gets his job back. I'll probably go Henderson, Michael Carter, then Elijah. We don't know how long Elijah's out. Got to check how long Elijah Mitchell's out. Cowboys ain't signed Cam Newton, bro. I think we need to take that. That's a pipe dream. They said they're going to play Cooper Rush. The fact that Dak Prescott, the fact that they didn't put Dak Prescott on IR tells me that Cam Newton would be interested in signing with Dallas anyway, even if they call. If you want to keep it a buck. Because he wants to start for the season. He don't want to start for 2 or 3 weeks. Sounds like Dak's going to come back in less than 4 weeks, so. I would do Christian Kirk here because of the target share. The order would probably be for me Kirk, Landry, and Ayuk. Kirk and Landry's pretty close, but Kirk, Landry, Ayuk. Jerry Judy's upside could potentially be definitely in the top 25 wide receivers this season. But after what happened with that Broncos game, bro, I don't know what the hell Nathaniel Hack is doing. But he could end up being a top 25, top 30 guy. You know, talking low end wide receiver 2 flex status in a deeper league. Pacheco, I have to give up Pacheco. If those are your options, I think I would stay the course of where you're at. I mean, Pacheco, what did Pacheco do? That's Kansas City, if I remember correctly. Pacheco had led the team in carries. Oof. Yeah, I don't know if I want to do that. I think I might want to hold Pacheco. Is Pacheco available in a lot of leagues? That might be an interesting pickup if you got help with Larry, you probably should get Pacheco, but that's something to monitor. The fact that but I think because the game was out of hand, that's why you saw more Pacheco. So I don't know if I'm willing to do that. All right, let's go to tight ends, man. That's the last position I'm doing tonight. I ain't gonna talk about defenses and kickers unless you guys ask a question, but let's look at tight ends. Because I've given much more than I thought I was, but I'm enjoying this so far. OJ Howard's a smokescreen, guys. The man only had 2 targets. Keep that in mind. Taysom Hill, same thing. Although, well, as a tight end, if he's going to get carries, that's interesting. I think I would put him on the waiver wire list. Just thought about that. I just realized he had 4 carries, but 5 touches, still okay for a tight end. Interesting one to pick up. I mean, even if you take his TD away, he still got 8 points for a tight end. That's pretty good. 9 points. Tight end, that's pretty. No, he got 1 TD. So, 9.3 points for a tight end. That's pretty good. If you believe they're gonna run with him, he's gonna get some rushing power, get some rushes. I would do it. So the points over here. So it goes back to the conversation about tight ends being a wasteland. So these are the top tight ends. Kelsey was the first one gone. All right. Kelsey was the first one gone. So he did what he was supposed to do. Dalton Schultz could have been picked up later. He was 6th. Gerald Everett wasn't drafted in a lot of leagues. He was 4th. OJ Howard wasn't drafted in a lot of leagues. He was 2nd, but he was TD dependent. But I'm just trying to prove my point when it comes to this. Taysom Hill, same thing. He wasn't drafted in a lot of leagues either. Will Dissly definitely wasn't drafted in a lot of leagues. So about a year or two ago, I did a video about the tight ends being a wasteland. And this right here shows you why I feel that way. The Seahawks had 2 tight ends in the top 10 in fantasy this week. Wasteland. He ain't rostered nowhere. Colby Parkinson. Pat Freiermuth. He is rostered everywhere. Zach Ertz. He is rostered everywhere. Tyler Conklin's not rostered everywhere. But I'm going to do the split with the targets in a minute because that's where it gets interesting because a lot of these guys that are near the top are very TD dependent. So you got to keep that in mind. Taysom Hill's interesting only because they're giving that man carries. So, which means he might get goal line opportunities over Alvin Kamara. So that's something to keep in mind. But as we scroll down, so Mark Andrews was good for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Good for 12. Still starting tight end. But some leagues he was the first one gone. In most leagues he was the second one gone. So keep that in mind. We know George Kittle was hurt. So we knew that was what it was. Alberto, I had him as my sleeper. I was worried about him being in the doghouse, but he did his deed. We're looking to target. We're going to do the target splits in 1 second. Logan Thomas, he's back and he's available. 5%. Like him a lot. Highly recommend. Ian Thomas, he got 7. I ain't buying it, guys. We're near the bottom of the totem pole. Goddard, Got 9 points. 4 targets makes me nervous a little bit, but I still like him. But when it comes to tight ends, you have a decision you have to make. Either you want to roll with a TD dependent tight end, or you're going to roll with somebody that gets a lot of targets. I prefer going after guys that have the targets versus the TD dependency. So we'll do the splits on the targets, but when you look at these tight ends, man, the order for the top tight ends in fantasy went Kelsey, Andrews, a lot of folks like Kittle, which was hurt, Pitts, 3.9, Pitts. Some people picked him third. All right. Then Waller did his deed. It wasn't had a concern about him because of the arrival of Devontae Adams, but he did his duty. And then after that, you're in waistline stat. You got a couple guys you can potentially go after. Like I know after those 4 or 5, it was Schultz, Ertz, Goddard. I liked Higbee a lot. I had Albert O as a sleeper, TJ Hawkinson. So let's look at these targets because this is where I prefer targets. Higbee got 11 guys. 11. Got a tight end that gets 10 plus targets. I like him. Higbee's available in about a half leagues. So available in your league, you probably should consider go getting him. Tyler Higbee. Hayden Hurst. He's going to get more opportunity with Higgins out. Hurst had 8 targets, and I know he's available in a lot of leagues, ladies and gentlemen. He was only rostered in 20%. All right, there's another one for you. Schultz was drafted, Kelsey was drafted, Pat was drafted. Andrews was drafted, Pitts was drafted, Hockenson was drafted. So, Conklin was not. He's available in a lot of leagues. Keep the caveat with him, 60 times. They threw the ball 60 times. Flacco's not going to throw it 60 times every week. So tread lightly with this one. Probably a TD dependent. You did get a TD, but just tread lightly here. Granson. You got 7 targets this week. Something to monitor, not something I'm willing to pick up. Albert O is available in a lot of leagues, and I like Albert O a lot. So, get him if he's available. Same goes for Logan Thomas. A lot of opportunity at the targets with this guy. I know he's available because he's been hurt so much. And that's where I stop. You get a tight end with at least 5 targets. I think you're sitting in a good spot. But you want somebody that's getting in the 7 to 10 range, 7+ range. You want to be within this window right here. I'm not sure about the jury's out on Granson. But just keep that in mind. So let me go to your questions. All right, let's see. The only reason why I like Hill on tight end is because they're giving him carries. It has nothing. It's more like this is a position. This is more of a position discrepancy, as I like to call it. He's slated as a tight end, but he's doing running back things. But there will be weeks where he only gets you like 2 points. Maybe he gets you a donut. But a lot of tight ends will do that to you. You saw what Kyle Pitts did to folks. Oh, if he's out 2 months, then yeah, Jeff Wilson Jr. is your guy. Sleeper TE. Waller and Kelsey aren't tight ends. My sleeper is out. My sleeper prior to the season was Albert O. Albert O was one. Tyler Higbee was another. Those were my main 2. I went out there with some Tyler Higbee. I didn't get too much Albert O, but I got some Tyler Higbee this year. Dude, even with that fumble by Javonte, I still won my league. I had a Monday Night Miracle. I needed 19 points. I need at least 19 points to beat my guy, beat my opponent from Javonte Williams. And the fumble almost scared me, but he ended up getting 19.2, and I ended up winning by less than a point. So it worked out. Yeah, if he's garbage time, I don't know if I want to. I don't know, unless you got CH, I don't know if I want to keep him. All right. Mm-hmm. Did I say? Yeah, if he plays, then yeah. Then you're not necessarily you have to worry too much about Boyd. I still think Hayden Hurst is going to get some more opportunities. I still think he'll probably at least get 5 targets a game. So I still like Hayden Hurst either way. I mean, but when you talk about the tight ends that you need to go after that's available, I mean, Higbee, if Higbee's in your league, if Higbee's available, man, you gotta go after him. I probably would go Higbee. If you think Higgins is gonna be out again, I like Hurst for next week, but that's not a long-term thing. Probably go Higbee, Alberto, Logan Thomas, then Hurst, probably in that order. If you and then Taysom Hill, if just because of the position discrepancy. But be careful, man, because it doesn't like Taysom Hill is going to get targets. So you just got to keep that in mind. So if he's not getting targets and he doesn't get that many carries, you could have some donut days. So that's more of I was going to say crapshoot, but it's more of a upside type of play, high risk, high reward type of situation for him. Everett. Oh, you didn't even talk about Everett. Hold on a second. Wait. Before I tell you Everett, hold on. I want to see something. Nah. This is bothersome, man. I might leave. I get. Who are you dropping? Everett. God, man, this kills me, man. The fact that it's so even. Everett and McKinney got the same amount of targets. I think I might have to roll with Hurst because I think Hurst will still probably get a minimum of 5 targets, even with Higgins coming back. So now I'll take Hurst. Give me Hurst here over Everett. I don't know if I want to do that, but I know why you are. Your name's Purple Haze, and you got a Vikings logo there. Just so you know, guys, you shouldn't be doing too many crazy things, barring an injury, unless you got a back. Like for me, when I think about week 1 and the waivers going into week 2, I think about a lot of people realize that they don't need a backup quarterback, they don't need a backup tight end, they don't need a backup defense, they don't need a backup kicker. So most folks end up dropping one of those to go take advantage of the players that are available. Give me Metcalf here. Nah, not yet. Week 1, man. Don't panic. Do not drop Allen Robinson yet. You have a reason to be concerned, but not a reason to panic. If Kittle's healthy, it's Kittle 10 out of 10 times. But he might be out again this week. That's great, but TDs ain't guaranteed every week, guys. That's why I have a strong emphasis on targets. Give me guys that are going to get targets, because targets turn into catches and catches turn into touchdowns. So, give me guys that gets targets like this. This is what I want. Somebody talked about Deontay Johnson. No way, man. The man got 12 targets. There's no way. I sorted this by flex, so you get an idea. So there better be running backs in here. So just keep that in mind. Give me targets, man. I want targets. Get targets, everything else most of the time will fall into place. Higbee was the top target getter for tight ends, and he had 11. Now, granted, he caught less than half of his passes, but still. Targets, man. That's what you want. That's what you want. I'm not panicking over Pitts. You know, he'll get better with catching the football because he's going to get opportunities. Getting 7 targets as tight end is really good. So no reason to panic, guys. No reason to panic. Hell yeah. Why would you have Russell Gage? Why? I wouldn't drop Dak yet. But now you got to have a backup. So, but I wouldn't drop Dak yet. Because it sounds like he might not be out more than a month. It sounds like they're trying to get him out. They're trying to get him back here in less than a month. So I would not drop Dak by any stretch of imagination. For those who watching, if this is your first time here, please like and subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell so that way you know when we go on. During every Monday, 9 o'clock. Well, right now, 9 o'clock because Rashad's in class. Me and Rashad go live to talk about the Panthers game. We do during the season. We do the game preview on Wednesdays, and also during the season, I do Fantasy Waiver Wire Q&A, this show right here, and I also do on Sundays Q&A at 11:15 in the morning. Go over interactives, answer last minute questions. Because post Thursday night game, you might need a miracle. I'm here to help you to try to get those miracles resolved. I mean, he's stashable if he's available. What's the percentage looking like for Gallup? But he ain't going to be available mostly. It's 50-50 for him. All right, I'm pushing 2 hours, man. So let me log in real quick. Give me 1 second while I figure this out. So bear with me. I'll remove this for now. And let me see what I can do. See if I can log in real quick. I might have to pull up my password because I'm using Chrome. Let's see here. All right, I've been asked to look at the PNP league. It's the only league I lost this week, and I got receipts. Looks at least I'll be at top of the waiver wire. My team was a mess this week, man. You want to talk about a level? You want to talk about a perfect storm? And I'll show you the scoreboard. By far, the worst week of the season. We're the worst week in all the leagues that I'm in. I only scored 72 points, man. I mean, now I will say this. Hold on a second. I will say this. For me to lose to the top scorer, I can't be mad at that because in the grand scheme of things, I'd probably be more furious if I scored 135 points and lost because then that meant I wouldn't have won regardless. He was the top scorer that week, so I'm not too angry about it. But my team's got to do better than this. It's funny because I'm in 7 leagues. Prior to Monday night, I already had 5 wins in the bag, and then I had the Monday Night Miracle with Javonte Williams. If Javonte didn't hit, I would have went 5-2, but I ended up going 6-1. But the big similarities to the 2 leagues where that league and the league that this one is that I had the number 2 pick and I drafted Christian McCaffrey number 2 overall. But in that league, in the other league, I'll show it to you guys. It's a 10-team league, and so I was able to get Christian McCaffrey, Tyreek Hill, and Javonte Williams. So I got the perfect storm when it comes to that. That was like the perfect fall. So at least I got Javonte Williams to supplement just in case CMC isn't where he needs to be. But yeah, this is bad, man. Rogers was terrible. Higgins got hurt. Terrible luck. Cole Kmet was trash. He didn't do anything. Metcalf did okay considering the circumstances, but my bench had a lot of guys that could have helped me out. Tua outscored Rodgers. Landry balled. Thomas balled. Luckily, I benched Pierce, but in the grand scheme of things, it was ugly. I already know who I'm going to drop to go get somebody. So there's that. So you already know my secret. So if anybody wants Tyler Algier, you can have him. I don't know why the hell I drafted him, to be honest with you. Oh, I'm not even showing you guys. Sorry, man. I'm talking. This is the box score for me last week. I lost to the top scorer. I lost to Jared. Jared got a good squad, man. Look at this. Look at this. You got Justin Jefferson, Saquon Barkley. He's going to be a problem all year. He'll fix the quarterback situation. With the quarterback situation, he still beat me by 70, and he was the highest scorer this week. So you know he's going to go after quarterback because he does not have a backup quarterback. But he's going to be a force to be reckoned with. And if you look at who's available in this league, he's not going to have a shortage opportunity to get some quarterbacks. You got Wentz, Mariota, Daniel Jones if you don't like Carolina this week, Lawrence, Baker if he's jumpy. So yeah, you know. What about running back? Yeah, running back's a mess. Ain't nothing for me to go get. Wide receiver. Ooh, there we go. So we got some options here. Got a lot of options here. McCole Harmon is another guy you consider picking up too. I didn't mention him, but he's another one. He had 6 targets with Kansas City last week. So, you know, he's getting targets. Flex play, potentially. This is full PPR. Oh, yeah. Rough day of the office for me in this league. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Here's the scoreboard for everybody from week 1. Yep. Highest score was Jarrett. Close one here. Another close one. Well, at least shout out to Pat Coltrane. He out here terrorizing folks. At least I wasn't the lowest scorer this week, but a lot of close ones this week, man. A lot of close ones this week. Yeah, so this guy might go after somebody I want. So I gotta do Waiver here first and foremost. But I'll show you I got 4 of my leagues are in ESPN. This is my Monday Night Miracle right here. Here's my Monday Night Miracle. I needed Vic Williams to come through, and he did. I survived Justin Jefferson and Stephon Diggs. But pretty well rounded. Got to fix the running back situation with Montgomery, though. I got an idea of what I want to do with that. Probably might move Williams up and then roll with another wide receiver. I got a couple options I can go with. Particularly, I'm looking at Myers. I might go into the waiver wire and see what I can do. But I believe I might have been the highest scorer this week in this league. Let me check. This is my high-stake league. Now I was one of the highest scorers. Wow. Oof, that's a rough loss right there. That's a rough one. Yeah, so we got some point getters, man. I like it. This is gonna be a nice competitive league in this high-stake league this season. The other one, another money league that I'm in. I know I was the highest scorer in this one. Pretty dominant to say the least. So we'll see. Bench is not where I don't like my bench options, but in the grand scheme, because I'm going to have to probably put a wide receiver in. But the beauty of this one is that there's a fab budget. So if I want to spend some money to go get somebody that I want in the players pool, but this one is a 12-teamer, so your options are very limited. Julio's available. That is interesting. McCole Harmon's available and Zay Jones is available. So I got options here. Running back wise, everybody's going to spend their money on these 2 guys right here. These are the 2 guys they're going to spend their money on right here. Jeff Wilson Jr. and Rex Burkhead. Quarterback, you get 2 points per 25 yards passed in this league. So that's why the totals are pretty high. Just to give you a perspective of how serious it is, I'll show you this so you can have a blast with the numbers. So Over here are the fantasy points for last week on this right-hand side over here. Mahomes got 50. Allen got 44. Wentz got 41. So to give you a perspective of how high the point total is, Herbert's my quarterback in this league. So yeah, just give you a perspective of the delta of how high the points go in these leagues. 50 burgers are a thing from that standpoint. But yeah, So like in this league now, like I said, remember what I just said, 2 points per 25 yards passed. Aaron Rodgers only got 7 points. That is abysmal for this league. Terrible. So when you see a quarterback get those type of point totals in this type of league, you kind of get into panic because you got to find somebody that's going to get you at least 25 points a week. So is Cole Kmet droppable? Yeah, man. Dude, Justin Fields is gonna be an issue for the receiver core there. I'm not ready to drop Mooney yet, but Justin Fields, the quarterback, is very, very, very problematic. Very problematic. I think there's better options to go after. I think there's better guys that you can get. So put in perspective, like I said, this is a 12-team league. Let me go to available. Sorry, available. This is a 12-team league, and here are the tight ends that are available. I'd rather have Albert O. I think I'd rather have Tanyan over Cole Kmet. Brait's interesting, but I'm afraid. Conklin's interesting. Another situation, like I said, remember what I said about that situation with the Jets throwing the ball almost 60 times. So that's something you got to take into account. So out of the guys that are here, I would go Albert O, and I bet you I would go with Taysom Hill too. I know he's available. So, yeah. There you go. Yeah, Kmet might be droppable this way, only because of Justin Fields, man. Justin Fields is problematic. Kmet streaming, and I normally used to stream certain teams that are terrible against tight ends, but the problem with Cole Kmet is that Justin Fields didn't look too hot, man, and he didn't throw the ball 20 times, and if that's the case, man, your target distribution is going to be rough in Chicago. Don't know we got to monitor that situation. If we see a trend of Justin Fields only throwing the ball 20 times, that tells me that I don't know if I can trust any other receivers in Chicago, even Darryl Mooney. Cooper, Robbie, Moore is the order I got. I mean, it all depends on your tight end options. But if you're telling me right now, where I know you talking about Cole Kmet, I know the game was a rough one with the weather. But if you're telling me that Albert O is available, and you ask me whether I want Kmet or Albert O, I'd rather have Albert O. Straight up, I'd rather have Albert O. Season long, I'd rather have Albert O. So if you ask me if I want to swap, I'd rather have Albert O. I think it's pointless to keep. It's pointless to keep Albert O and Cole Kmet on your roster. If you ask me right now, long term, season long, based on who's available in waivers right now, I'd rather have Albert O. I missed your super chat. I did. Sorry. Shout out to Bobby Digital for the super chat. I'm glad you caught it, man, because it's been hectic. I've been on here much longer than I thought I would be. Got Cup and Samuel starting. Would you bench anyone for Cooper, Thielen, Judy? I probably would play Judy over Samuel, but it's close. I think I would probably play Judy here, even though I love how they utilize Samuel, man. Which makes me afraid for McLaurin. That's another monitor situation too. But right now for next week, I'm taking Judy over Samuel. Appreciate the super chat, man. Judy against the Texans. That is why. Well, I mean, I disagree, Slim. If you made the decision, that's what you want to do. That's what you do. I mean, like unless you got Kelsey or Andrews or one of the top guys. I mean, even if you got one of the top guys, there's gonna be weeks where Mark Andrews ain't gonna do well. I mean, that's the reality. That's why when people were arguing about who's number one, Kelsey or Andrews, I kept saying Kelsey. Kelsey's giving me no reason to not have him number one. So, I mean, if you don't get Kelsey or some of the other guys, then yeah, streaming is not a problem, until you get a guy. Albert O's available. I mean, I would start Albert O all season because the thing you got to understand is this, guys. If you don't get one of the top flight tight ends, that means you should be strong in other positions because to get Kelsey, Andrews, Pitts, you got to take them within the first 6 rounds. If you had to do that, that means you took a hit in your other positions. But if you didn't have to do that, that means you got a stronger core. Because if you don't get one of those top guys, you probably can get dollars. You can probably get Goddard in a much later round. Like I'm gonna look at this draft. Let's do something here. Let's play along real quick. I'm gonna go. I won't use the draft that I was in for PNP, but I'll use the draft in this league. Here's the draft recap for this league. And this is the money league. So the first tight end taken was in the second round. It was Kelsey. Then Mark Andrews was taken in the third. Kyle Pitts was taken in the fourth. George Kittle was taken in the fourth. All right. Let's keep it moving. Schultz was taken in the fifth. Waller was taken in the fifth. And nobody was taken in the sixth. And then Hunter Henry was taken in the seventh, which I really thought that was a reach for my buddy Marcus. TJ Hawkinson was taken in the eighth. Yeah, I was when this happened, I was very happy. Because I like the value of getting Hawkinson here at 8. And notice who I took. Godwin, and he's going to end up being on my bench. Singletary, he's on my bench right now, crazy enough. Herbert was interesting here in the draft for me because the first quarterback taken wasn't until round 3 with Josh Allen. And then it became, all right, nobody took a quarterback in 4. Round 5 happened, and then Mahomes. So I was thinking I had a shot to get Mahomes here. But at this point, I was like, well, I'll take Mahomes or Herbert in 5. So when Mahomes went, I said, all right, I'll take Herbert here. Because I was able to get Cook, Swift, Lamb, even though he's hurt already. Cooks, I love Cooks, man. I do. Herbert, Singletary, Godwin, Hawkinson, Hunt in the 9th round. Phenomenal value here. That's why, and I started him this week instead of Singletary because I felt like the Rams defense was going to give Singletary some issues. And looked like I was spot on there. And I thought Hunt, and besides, Cleveland was playing Carolina. We can't stop the run. Stop playing Hunt. Just because you're a fan of the team, when it's fantasy football, man, loyalty's out the window. The data reigns supreme. Bias has to go out. Always remember that. Olave, Claypool, Madison, Handcuff, Watson. I already dropped Watson. Steelers D, Greg Joseph. There you go. Funny enough, did I drop Steelers D already? No, I didn't. I kept them. Okay. Thanks. All right. So, yeah, Furman's been drafted everywhere, though. Furman's been drafted everywhere. Well, you want to talk about available guys, that's where you're at. I just answered this. Yeah, I'll do this trade. If you're trading away Pitts, I'll do this trade. Not a fan of Elijah that much, but you end up with the best player out of the bunch. I'll do that trade in a heartbeat. And by the way, guys, I don't know why you guys are trading so damn early, unless you're trying to take advantage of, unless you're trying to leverage an advantage somewhere. But yeah, I would take the Saquon Elijah Moore side of this trade. What's his timeline of return? Because I don't remember. Let's see. I don't remember. What's his availability like? He's questionable this week. Oh yeah. If I could do it, I would do it. I mean, you just gotta have some level of patience. You know, grab a tight end in the meantime on the waivers and pull the trigger. Yeah, grab a tight end in the meantime on the waivers and pull the trigger and trade him if you can. If you can get him. Yeah, I definitely would buy low. I don't think he's washed. Alberto. Yo, Furman is going to get the target share. I mean, I think, Furman's going to get the target share. So, I mean, when you take into account the target share, we'll pull it up one more time, and then we're getting ready to get out of here, guys. I've done. Dude, he was second in targets. I'll take that 10 out of 10. Second in targets. Have more targets, Travis Kelce, Dalton Schultz. Second in targets. You want to get one of these tight ends that's pretty high in targets. If you can get a tight end, if you can get a starting tight end that's getting 5 targets a game, that's optimal. Unless you got one of the high end guys. If you can get a tight end that's getting you 5, that's why I like Alberto a lot. Especially if you made a decision not to go after tight end early. Alberto will get you at least 5 targets a game. And he's got good hands. He had 6 targets, he caught 5 of them. Occasionally you get in the end zone. 8 points for a tight end. That's good. That's good business. Just remember that. Put it in perspective, right? Look at the tight ends. Kelce's Kelce, right? Howard only had 2 targets, he got TDs on both targets. I mean, you take the 2 TDs off, he's only a 5-point guy. Hill's a unique situation because he's mispositioned. Everett TD once again, so 8 points. Another one TD because you can't guess TDs; they're dependent. I mean, shit. Seattle has 2 in the top 10. Both of them got a TD. You take the TDs away, you're talking 7 points, 6 points. I want 12 points like Pat. I like a 12-point guy like Pat. 10 targets, 5 targets, 10 targets, 5 catches, 75 yards. I like this. Because if he gets 10 targets a game, he'll probably catch more than half. That's more points on the board without worrying about having a dependency on a touchdown. I like this. 12 points for a tight end with those targets. I like that. Same goes for Mr. Darren Waller, right? 6 targets, 4 catches, 79 yards, no TDs, 12 points. I mean, if you get a tight end to get you 10 points, that's bonus, right? Mark Andrews, same thing. Target guy, 5 catches, 52 yards. I can roll. I'm rolling. Hurst, if he keeps the target share up, depending on what happened with Higgins, 8 targets ain't nothing to stuff at. 5 catches, 46 yards. Someone like a Tyler Higbee, he'll probably start catching more than half his passes. So that number go up. 8 points is a good day for a tight end. Alberto, 6 targets, can't be mad at that. 5-3. See, Hawkinson, cool. The guys you need to worry about, somebody like Noah, this is scary. Because I was high on Noah. And the fact that the other 2 tight ends outdid him says a lot. Because the other 2 tight ends, but they had less targets. So that's something to take into account too. They had less targets than Noah, but Noah didn't get the end zone opportunities, which that sucks for him. Because Noah had more targets than both of them. So, but still, I prefer at least a 5-target tight end. Or at least 5. Give me 5 targets. Give me some better odds. But like Kyle Pitts, 7. You can get a 5-target tight end, man. That's what you want. We'll continue looking at the data as we go. All right. Top 5 defenses for this week. Let's see. Here's the data for the defenses this week. You know, and these are the teams that got the TDs. TDs are very random, so keep that in mind, ladies and gentlemen. Eagles got a TD, and they still only got 5 points. That's pretty terrible. But here's your top defense for the week. You know, Bills, you had to overdraft Buffalo to get them. Steelers was a steal for folks. You know, Dolphins is probably available in a lot of leagues. I like Miami defense a lot. Even without the TD, you still got 13 points. That's a good day for them. So, you know, keep that in mind. Dolphins defense is pretty good. All right, so what's these matchups looking like for next week? Top 5 defenses. Packers is interesting. I don't think they're going to be the top defense, but because of Chicago, man, I don't trust their offense right now. Packers are interesting. I'm not a full believer of this. Atlanta actually looked pretty damn good this weekend, man. I don't like the Falcons. They look good. Bengals, this one is a good one to go after. Going up against Cooper Rush, I like this one a lot. Broncos, these are all of them. Is it? No, these are the leaders. Broncos, no. Bucks, no. 49ers against Seattle. That's an interesting one. I would take a chance with that, even though Geno looked good. Cleveland against the Jets. This is another one I would attack. If Browns defense is available, I would attack this one. Colts Jacksonville's tough. Rivalry game. Gonna be a tough one for that. No on the Patriots. Commanders in Detroit. Nah, that's a no for me. I would start Bills defense every week. Panthers, no. They can't stop the run. I'm good. No for Dallas, no for Jets. I think I would still start the Steelers against Mac Jones. I'm not starting the Ravens defense. Dolphins against Baltimore. I think the Dolphins can get some turnovers here. I think they might give up a lot of points, but I think they can get some turnovers going over here. Dolphins got a pretty good defense, man. So I just went through the whole line, man. You know, typically when I stream defenses, I go. So let's see. I'll give you them what I would typically do if I'm streaming defenses. Let me pull up one of my leagues. Matter of fact, where do I have a league where I got a terrible defense? Nah, Dolphins. Nah, that's fine. Jungle, Steelers. That's fine. PNP. That I might go back to that one to do the sample size. All right, yeah, this is the one I'm probably gonna have to make a move for because I'm not paying Charger defense this week. All right, so what's available here? Defense, special teams. So typically, what I normally do, I look and see who's available, and then I look at their opponents. Bengals, no. Falcons, possibly. Houston, Pittsburgh, no. Buffalo, no. Philly, no. Chargers, no. Arizona, no. Green Bay, no. Vegas, no. Carolina, no. Washington, Cleveland. Yeah, so if I had that, so typically I just pick one or two to swap the defense with. Off this, I would go Rams will be my one. And And if I couldn't get Rams, I probably would settle for what I already got with the Colts. That'll be it. Anybody else, I don't think I want to trust. But this changes every week. So let me see. Can I schedule? So like this changes every week, guys. So like for example, like week 4, I go down the list. See, depending on how the Giants play against us, Bears will be interesting here. Seattle against Detroit is interesting here. Seattle played pretty good defense this week. Had a couple turnovers. Seattle versus Detroit for week 4 will be interesting here. But this is what I would do. I would look, see who people are playing. Look for the terrible teams. And then just like this one here, Jacksonville. Probably would pull the trigger there, push came to shove. Detroit, same here, Patriots. How do you feel about the team? Chicago, yep, I would pull the trigger here with the Vikings. Yep. You know, that's what I would do. Rinse, repeat every week. That's how I would stream. Browns ain't going to be available in a lot of leagues, though. Saints or Bengals defense this weekend. The Saints are playing the Bucks. And the Bengals are playing Dallas. I would prefer the Bengals defense this week. The Bengals defense. Can't believe I'm talking about defenses. I'm not playing Chargers defense this week. I'm swapping. Let me see. I'm still on that roster, I think. I want to keep Charger defense long. Oh, I got 2 bench players, so I'm good. But it looks like I might not be able to do nothing now because they've moved them to questionable, which sucks. I got to move them back. So I'll probably drop. If I had to drop somebody, I probably would drop Mostert. But I don't know yet. Let me see here. Let me look at the schedule for the Chargers. Jacksonville, Houston. The schedule gets a little bit. They'll get scooped up if I drop him. If I drop him. Yeah, this is gonna be tough. I might have to keep him out of spite, or maybe I might make the decision to not play him because if I'm worried about it going to the negatives, and I got to make a decision quick. Maybe I'll leverage the fact that it's Thursday night. You know, typically they off kilter Thursday night, but I got to fix the quarterback situation now. I don't know if I can play Trey Lance next week, so that's going to be a thing that I'm going to have to go after from that standpoint. So I gotta go find a quarterback, and look who I can go get. I got options. I might between Winston. Those are probably 2 I'll go after. All right, man. I broke the 2-hour mark. Yeah, man. So I think I might have to hold him. I don't think I want to drop him. I don't know, man. Carson Wentz versus Detroit is enticing. That's a good streamer option for next week. I'll tell you that. I think I probably would, like, based from my standpoint, as a person that is managing this team, based on my situation, I would absolutely do this. I would take Carson Wentz, and I would probably drop Rondale Moore and roll that way and hold Trey Lance and see what he does against Seattle. And if he's terrible against Seattle, then I'm going to have to drop him. I might have to drop him. I got to decide whether I want to keep Lance or Wentz long term. But all right, enough. Hold on. Enough is enough. This was fun. I promise you, this will not be a 2-hour event. I'm going to get this down to an hour. But I wanted to see how this format goes, and it looks like you guys enjoyed it. So I'm about to make my exit. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. That's my Twitter handle, my personal Twitter handle right there. And you know that the channel's Twitter handle is Panther Nation PC. So if you got any fancy questions, use this Twitter handle and I will reply. And for my Patreon folk, you know where I'm at. I'm always in there trying to reply to the questions regards to fantasy and argue with you guys. So become a Patreon. If you become a franchise, you get access to the fantasy football Patreon, and we go at it all the time. So, like I said, like and subscribe, hit that notification bell so you know when we're back. And I'm out, guys. Peace.